Hi, I'm Donna, an OpenSciEd teacher, and I'm here to go over lesson 2 with you, which is part of B.1 Ecosystem Interactions and Dynamics. In this lesson video, we are going to talk about how we got here, look at lesson at a glance, key moments, and material management tips and tricks. And I'm really excited to share some of these tricks that I've learned with you. How we got here. In lesson 1, the students are introduced to the 30 by 30 plan, which is the plan to conserve 30% of the land by 2030 in the United States. And the students learn that humans have very different reasons for conserving land due to unique components and interactions. In this lesson, we're wondering, how can other cases of conservation help us understand ecosystems and what conservation is? The lesson at a glance. The type of lesson, this is an investigation because we've got that Serengeti scavenger hunt. It should take 2 days. A material preparation is only 10 minutes. It is not a hands-on investigation, and there are no devices required for students. There are a lot of videos that as an educator, you'll be facilitating with the students. 2 videos that you'll watch together as a class, and then some videos that the students can explore as part of that scavenger hunt. The crocodile attack video was always my students' favorite video to watch. And looking at the lesson at a glance a little bit more, we've got 2 different chunks. Chunk 1 is an introduction to the Serengeti ecosystem and the Serengeti National Park. And chunk 2 is exploring and learning more about the components and interactions, the species that make up the Serengeti National Park, and how they interact in their relationships. The first chunk is during the first day. We've got 1 key moment in this chunk. And again, it's all about introducing the Serengeti and its history. Here, the students are going to be figuring out that the Serengeti National Park was created to protect the unique ecosystem, and its creation was motivated by many different views and priorities. The students are going to be introduced to the idea of different stakeholders and how at times not all stakeholders' needs or wants are always taken into consideration. Chunk 2. In chunk 2, students are going to be completing that scavenger hunt. We're going to have a class consensus discussion, and then going to be co-constructing a model of the Serengeti National Park. In this chunk, students are going to be figuring out that there's a wildebeest migration that takes place, and it is unique and dangerous, but the animals are migrating anyways. They're also going to learn that there's different rules of conservation areas around the Serengeti National Park. For example, they'll learn that there's some things you can do in a national park and some things you can do in a game reserve. What the students figure out in this entire lesson, so we've got the Serengeti National Park. It's a unique ecosystem and it's been extensively studied. We have decades of data that we can look at for this national park, for this ecosystem. They're going to learn that there's 2 different views of nature-culture relationships and the role of humans in an ecosystem. And that the wildebeest migration takes place every year despite the length and danger of that journey. And that's going to help segue into lesson 3. Key moments in this lesson. First key moment is part 2, the introduction to the Serengeti ecosystem. This is where you're going to be watching a video together as a class of the Serengeti. I really like this video because there's no dialogue, and so it really allows the students to create their own meaning and come up with their own words to describe what they're seeing, the components, the interactions, the relationships. And quite frequently, the students will see things that I hadn't seen in previous watchings, even though I've watched the video many times. They're going to learn in that video and by reading about the history of the Serengeti that the boundary has changed over time And it will help kind of lead to that next key moment of why is the boundary changing? Part 5 is the information scavenger hunt. As a class, you're going to come up with different questions that you have, and the students are going to pick 2 of those questions to investigate further in the scavenger hunt. They're going to navigate around the room in order to try to answer that question. They're going to fill out that graphic organizer that you can see on the slide. You can do the scavenger hunt digitally. I find that I get a lot more buy-in from the students and a lot more engagement when I do take the time to print out the maps and images and text and put them around the room. They're going to learn that there's a disagreement about role of humans in an ecosystem. Are we at the top? Are we part of it? Is it a pyramid? Is it a circle? And then the students are going to create a model of the information that they learn. Part 10 is the consensus discussion. This is when you'll be getting the class together in a scientist circle, and they're going to work on constructing a model together that describes why the Serengeti National Park was created, what that wildebeest migration is, where is it taking place, what months of the year is it taking place in, and helps raise those further questions about why are the wildebeest migrating. The last key moment is to complete a progress tracker. This is the first time the students are going to be completing a progress tracker in this unit. Something that really helped me as an educator, because I struggled with how to get students to see the point of the progress tracker, and then it wasn't just checking a box. For me, when I explained to the students that we weren't just writing down a summary of information, what we learned in that lesson, but the purpose of the progress tracker is to build connections to the previous lessons, that really helped my students with the buy-in. Where do we go from here? The next lesson, students are going to be continuing to investigate that question, why are the wildebeest migrating, even though the migration is so long and so dangerous? Material management tips and tricks. So some of the tips that I've learned while teaching this unit: scientist circles can take some time. It's great, or it can take some time for the students to get started. I will usually use some opening questions. For example, asking them what was unexpected, and then also what was expected. By asking them what was expected that they learned, it sort of helps take the pressure off of they need to create this really novel, brilliant idea. It can also be tricky navigating the role of humans in an ecosystem. I lean into it, and I'm honest with the students about what the role is and how it's changed over the past, present, and what it could be like in the future. With the Serengeti scavenger hunt, students might want to write down every word from the scavenger hunt. I will teach them some tricks to quickly summarize information. I encourage them to use visuals and symbols. It makes the scavenger hunt not drag on for too long. And if you don't have 4 computers to place around the room, you can front load those scavenger hunt videos and watch them together as a class. And I actually enjoy that more. I find it helps build classroom community. Some glossary management, we co-construct nature-culture relationship, and some words that we encounter are biodiversity and conservation plan. Poster management, you're going to be referencing that driving question board and conservation criteria posters that were created in lesson 1, and you're going to want to make sure you save that Serengeti map that you co-constructed as a class, because you're going to use it and add to it on future lessons. Well, with that, I just want to say thank you for being here with me today. This is really one of my favorite lessons because of all the novel information that's here. What I want to leave you with is to really lean into that scientist circle. And it takes a lot of bravery from the students. It takes a lot of bravery as an educator. But if you're patient and you use some of those opening questions, the students really love sharing their thoughts. In the next lesson video, I'll walk you through the first data set for students, and you got this.